Hello and welcome back to round 4 of the Moto America League on GP bikes. Now today we are coming from Road Atlanta in Georgia. Track I personally don't have a massive lot of fun at. It is very one line, lots of elevation, and overall doesn't really suit me mainly, and I don't think the Kawasaki is very well built for this track either. A few quick changes of direction in the first sector really seem like the kryptonite to my ZX10 unfortunately. After almost probably should have got a podium in the last round in Barber, but for a silly little penalty. Coming into this round, top 7 was probably the goal, really going to the grid. I really just felt like I was missing a bit, and usually I'm quite consistent around here. Consistency is all over the place. It's such a hard track to get a lap in. To do it for 15 laps was very difficult, so coming into it, it was my main goal again, was just kind of keep a rubber side down and pull a result out if we could get the opportunity. So I knew in qualifying, which we're about to jump to now, I wouldn't be the quickest man on track. We start the lap now. You come up to a very, very difficult turn 1, 4th gear on entry. You go back 2 gears, and just here as it goes uphill, it's very easy to tuck the front. The bike likes to rotate on its axis. You really want to get the bike back to the right side of the track to open up here this very difficult snake section. Go curb to curb, curb. That curb there, very, very tricky. If you touch it, you can easily just tuck the front. Do a nice sector 1 according to my delta that time. You come through this very left right section. Very tricky, not easy to get consistently right. This part of the track here, that curb there can kill you. You get a big wheelie over this most times. I pretty much minimalized it that time and got a good drive over it. Into this double right here now we get a yellow flag, which doesn't really affect me in here, but I'm quite aware that someone's going to be off in this sector here. Just make a small mistake. It is Keity Lemon, I believe it is indeed, on the other ZX10, so we lose about 0.6 in that sector there, so that really killed us on this lap. But onto the back straight now. Kawasaki seems to be the slowest bike in the mod unfortunately, so we are really at a disadvantage on the back straight, losing up to almost 3/10 to some people, so we're really shedding time there. Now I'm pretty good on the brakes into the chicane. I kind of have to be to make up for my deficit on the straight, but unfortunately it's going to be very difficult for me to overtake and pass when I have such a speed disadvantage. Into the final corner we come, a downhill 90-degree corner, terrible little corner. We get a great drive out, just getting a small wheelie. We improved by about 0.4, and if you took the extra half a second that we lost by that one mistake, possibly maybe could have challenged for the front row. We would have been ahead of Biker, but probably not ahead of P3 Lucoid Rock. So not too bad qualifying session. P5 we are missing, you can see there's only 13 people. We had lots of connectivity issues. Unfortunately the track is having some issues. We couldn't get it set up the normal way. We had to restart and change lobbies a few times, so we did lose a few people. So slightly smaller lobby, and we are missing a couple of the fast boys. So chance of a podium is slightly higher now with this track for me. A podium, no matter who's racing, would be difficult, so I really wasn't feeling quite strong. 27.3 though, I was quite happy with overall, but nearly 2 seconds off Danny Savani on the Suzuki. But as we jump to the race now in a second, the main goal for me was just to get away at the start. If I can get into a bit of rhythm and just stay consistent, I'd be pretty happy with whatever I can come away with. So we actually go to the grid slightly early. I jump onto the grid with about 30 seconds left to go. You can see all the Suzuki's boys come out late with about 10 seconds to go. The Suzuki is inherent, has an issue with its tyre temperatures. Really hard to get up to temperature in the first 3 or 4 laps. So me knowing that, I am always trying to put them under pressure early in the race. So 5 people on the grid, or 4 people ahead of me I should say, and 4 red lights. We go, away we go, and again it's a good launch for me. For some reason we're getting some weird technical glitches with like sidewalls changing colour. We already get ahead of Reese into turn 1 Biker Gaming on the Gixxer 1000. Take a tight line there, we get very close to Danny Savani. Dario Andriano goes touch wide, so we're up into P3, so 2 positions gained into turn 1 and down into this very tight snake. Now we just want to slide through here as clean as possible, and just out of here Savani's big moment. We have to pick the bike up and jam on, and we are very lucky not to get collected, and we're actually up into P2 now. Now unfortunately Lucoid Rock looks like he has some good pace here. You'll see in a second he's just started to pull the pin. This point of the race now, I was happy it got away clean. I wasn't really concerned about belting in laps trying to push for the race lead. I just wanted to get some consistent few laps in, get some tyre temps and get into my rhythm. That is the most important in these races for me, is get my rhythm going, and then we can kind of worry about whatever's going on track then. Already out of here. Luke Rock looks like he's after getting a great exit compared to me because I'm after losing a good bit of time. Very easy here to get a bit of a wheelie. We seem to minimise it this time. But we already have some of the faster boys now behind us, which means they will be coming back at us. Braking quite early and pretty safe on the opening lap, just to make sure we get a few laps going under our belt and get into a good position to set up our race. So we come to end of lap 1 here, got a big wheelie over this crest. Part of this track is just the wheelies, but unfortunately Luke Rock goes out onto the curb, gives himself a terrible exit. We do pull a bit of time back, but already we can hear, I think it is Andriano on the Suzuki behind me making up a lot of time in that corner, so he looks like he has brilliant pace early on. So as of right now, not really worried. If he comes past, he comes past. I'm just trying to hit my marks and I'm doing a pretty good job at the moment, but he's not, and he absolutely clatters into the back of me. Biker just skims past, and then we get a bit of Piboso physics here. You can see the bike won't turn, I can't do anything, fall again, lose another 3 seconds there I'd say, and we take off now in about P4. So we've been passed by Biker, we've been passed by the other Suzuki of Savani, so we're back now to about P4, and we also still have the other very fast Suzuki man that just took me out behind me, so I need to be careful as he comes back through. I reckon he'll probably be a bit quicker, so not really sure what he tried there. I did watch back the replay, he just gets it all wrong, and I don't know what he expected, because you can't really pass through there. It's one lane, he just barrels in as if I'm not there and just clatters into the back of me, so a bit clumsy from him. But we are still in this race, we still have a long ways to go, we still have another 13.5 laps to go, so P4 at the moment probably was in my head be my maximum if I could beat one of the faster boys in front. But it would be difficult to beat Reese, who was very quick this weekend, so I wouldn't put out a shout that he'd get a podium going into this race. I kind of felt like he would. There is a yellow flag ahead already. At that point it can't be a lap rider, so one of the front 3 is off, and I believe it is the R1 of Luke Rock. So keep up our pace here, we should be able to get back into the fight for the podium. That's what I was thinking. Coming down into turn 1, big mistake, the bike just has a small unsettling moment and we run off track, so not the ideal start to my race. I see the Suzuki come past me, Dario, so we leave him to space. You see the Mystic Prune on the Fireblade just coming past us, we give him the space because we have dirty tyres, and we tuck into P6, so a nightmare start to my race. We're behind 2 riders we didn't expect to be near in this race at this point of the track. Coming through the snake section here though, Mystic Prune is a massive moment, and his bike just jams on here, clatters me, and you can see by my reaction here spamming the look behind button. I was shocked and really annoyed at this point that I've been taken out. Someone has thrown their bike at me, and I also made one stupid mistake into turn 1, so at this point of the race I'm not too happy. But you see there, yellow flag again, which means there's someone off, and that is this Suzuki that took me out in the race. You can see I'm still not happy. I give him a bit of a wave, a bit of a gesture, as I'm pretty pissed at this point of the race that I was taken out and how everything's going. So we are back into P4 now after that mistake, so we passed Max on the pretty much corner after he overtook me, and then a couple of corners later the Suzuki man has dropped it as well. So we're back into P4, and it looks like Luke Rock has made a mistake though, because he's much closer around this time to me. It is Biker leading at the moment from Daniel Savani, so 2 fast boys there going at it for the lead, but Luke Rock makes a mistake and he's done it again. That's 2 times we've gone through there and he's done that, so we just cannot get the last corner right, which promotes us to P3 here on lap 4. Now we jump forward to the midpoint of lap 5. Of course we still have the very fast Suzuki boys behind me, so I might have P3 now, but I'm not really expecting to hold it. You can see him there. Now because he took me out, I do give him a bit of a squeeze here. We go all the way to the right. Andrioni goes to the left, we give him literally no space, force him to the white line. He has a much quicker bike in a straight line. Now I could have broke a bit later there, but I'm pretty much going down a cul-de-sac. I'm not going to outbrake him and go around the outside there, so we kind of just kind of tuck in behind him. I'm not too worried, I know his pace is better than mine. That Suzuki is a weapon in a straight line compared to me at the moment, so for me it was pretty nice to have someone fast in front of me, so I was just going to use him and see could I go with him, and that was my goal for the next couple of laps, was just to get a bit of slipstream where I can and have a marker in front of me, just maybe to pull me forward. At the moment I'm doing 28.9s, not really great lap times to be brutally honest. My race pace should have been around a 28.1 to 27.5 is kind of what I was hoping I could do, so not really great, not podium pace or anything, or race winning pace by any means, but it was good enough hopefully just to kind of keep myself in the picture if something happened. And you can see here early on lap 6 we are just about maintaining Andreoni's pace and sticking with him. He looks pretty wayward through here, and we're already coming up to lap one of the first riders in the race. I believe it is another Yamaha, a Camel Yamaha. He's having an awful time at the moment. He's been lapped I think in most races, this fella. He's a really long name and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. Thankfully for us, he does run off whether it was a mistake or he's aware that we're there. He just gave us enough room, so thanks for him anyway. Couple of riders there disconnecting in the top left, so with all the issues for the track and stuff, it wasn't an ideal race. Not everyone had a great time, unfortunately. But at the moment now I'm sitting in P4. We have Dario in front of us. Savani is after taking the lead from Reese, and he's sitting pretty in second. So you'd imagine at this point, without any more crashes, this is pretty much the way to finish. You'd imagine Savani would have the pace to win. He is usually the quickest out of anyone, and Biker's about 12 or 13 seconds back to Andreoni, and his pace is pretty good, so I don't reckon without any more crashes that they could catch that gap back to each other. But for me, you can just see him just losing the toe now to the Suzuki. As you can see, coming out of turn 1 there, rare and snapping. Rare grip as always for me is a bit of a rare premium to me. I don't really get much of it, so when it does snap, it does seem to let go really quickly. That snake section here is the absolute worst thing for this bike. It just is so slow and sluggish going left to right. But we have a yellow flag. Is it a lap right or is it a front runner? And unfortunately it is Reese. He downshifted, went to one too many gears coming into that little left-hander there. Unfortunately rear locked up and was not able to save it. So the Suzuki's in front of me. I have two on my sight now, so you'd imagine Dario is going to put the hammer down, and yes he does, by high-siding out the next corner. I give him a wave again. That's his third crash of the race, and we'll surely see more of him. Even though we passed him on a straight, I'd imagine his pace was pretty good, so I reckon he'll pull me in. So we're back into P3 once again. We have Reese within striking distance, a couple of seconds up the road. If we could reel him in, we might be able to try something on him. But already a couple of laps later, the Suzuki is back on my rear wheel nearly, so he's been doing qualifying laps behind me, Andriano, so I'm not really worried about him. I'm pretty sure he's going to get me at some point. So at this point now, I'm just starting to send the ball a bit more, as I kind of feel like there's a bit of a gap behind him, and if there was a mistake I wouldn't be too displaced. I'd probably end up finishing P4 anyway. So at this point now, just trying to pick up the pace, because I know on this straight here I'm going to lose a lot of time to him and to Reese in front of me. So if I could start to reel in Reese, pushing to my maximum, we might be having a nice little scrap towards the end, but we'll see what we can go, because this track is so easy to make a mistake on. See, fishtailing all the way down into the chicane, and Reese is just there, so he's not too far up the road. Any mistake from him and we could be on him. We're currently on our kind of best lap at the moment, only just slightly off into the final corner we come. Very tricky little corner. We actually get a great exit out of there, and we gain about 2 tenths on our PB at 28, or it's a 27.7 actually. I don't know what the Delta is saying there, but that is by far my quickest lap. That is only 3 to 4 tenths off what I did in qualifying, and that was a good qualifying lap as well for me. So the pace right now is looking as good as it has done all race, and we look like we got that all right. We got a big moment there as the rear end clipped the curb and snapped sideways, but we are still on a personal best lap. I do believe this is my fastest lap of the race on lap 11. So we are pulling in Reese, as we are setting pretty much our best laps of this race. We're starting to feel well, and as I can see Reese coming back, I'm getting a bit more and more confident. But the only thing, I can hear that Suzuki behind me getting louder corner by corner. Now the yellow flag, fortunately that means it's someone in front and not behind. But I think it is a lap right. I believe it is, I think Doc Monster it is. Yes indeed, Doc Monster unfortunately slipping off in that tricky right hand before the back straight. You can see now we're up a half a second. And unfortunately we do just lose a touch to Reese on the straight, and probably lose a bit as well to the other Suzuki behind me. We're giving it everything. You can see big stoppy into this tight chicane downhill, very tricky and easy to make a mistake, and if you do make a mistake you're pretty much confirmed to be in the gravel. This is definitely looking like a shot we have at taking a P2 here if we could get close enough to Reese. Now getting close to him is one thing, passing him is another thing, as we start lap 12. 3 full rotations left to go of this track. We have a big slide into turn 1. Just starting to push slightly too much now, probably is my issue. And this section here, Reese is much stronger than me. But we look like we pull a bit of time in, maybe. Touch the grass and we actually follow him. Out of here, he just pulls away slightly. But yellow flag, again. Ahead of us, is it the leader? I don't believe it is, unfortunately for us. It is another black marker, so not too sure exactly who this is in front of us who just crashed, but hopefully he doesn't get in the way. Actually, I believe it is Keity Lemnox, and he pulls to the right here as we come out of this double right. So this corner here, I really try and get this perfect just to get the good eggs. You can see the Kawasaki squatting hard. Keity Lemnox with his hand up, in fairness to him, getting right off the racing line. Again, just a bit of a weedy there. That just would have cost me a small bit of run. You can see how close that Suzuki is now. So as we get closer to Suzuki, we make a small mistake there going on the grass, and we go a touch defensive then to cover ourselves. But we do get stopped quite nicely in the end. Goal now is just to get as close to Reese, see if we force a mistake, because I know Andriano behind is going to do pretty much the same to me. He's going to probably jump the two of us if we stay the way it is. So out of this final corner we come onto lap 13, and the gap to me and Reese is pretty much the same, but I can hear Suzuki is pretty much on me now. I don't have much that I can do now to keep him behind. He's going to get me on the straight regardless. You can see his name popping into the shop there, how close he's getting. Hopefully he doesn't knock me off again into this section, but it looks like he's learned his lesson and he doesn't go as recklessly in. So if Reese makes a mistake, we'll be all over him, but at the moment we just don't have the pace to bridge that little gap, using all of the track and all of the curves. And Reese just looks like he lost the front ever so slightly there. Doesn't look very quick out of here. He looks like he was struggling throughout the race with wheelies over here. We actually pull a bit of a gap here. So at the moment, I was looking at Reese here. He goes wide again. But unfortunately, moment on entry, and the bike just let go on exit. I didn't really do much wrong, I felt. I've watched it back a few times. Just as soon as I pick up the throttle, it just completely lets go. So maybe rear tyre had too much temperature, but I'm not too sure. But now we jump to lap 15 of 15, and we actually are in the scrap for P4. So after that crash, I pretty much cased it around and just was crawling to the finish, thinking I didn't have anyone battling. But I actually then started to hear the R1 behind me of Luke Quite Rock, who's still in his rhythm, and we're making mistake after mistake now, after kind of dropping our head small but thinking the race was done. And we have an R1 behind us now, and probably not the quickest in a straight line either, but I reckon it's quicker than me. He'd definitely be in the slipstream, gaining into the chicane here. We go as late as we can. To be fair, he goes for it. At this point, it's like there's no way he's coming from that far back and past me, but in fairness, he does get it stopped. And at this point, I'm kind of stumped. Tries to square off here, but just not really anything doing. But I know he's made so many mistakes into the last corner. He ends up on the grass. He's definitely not getting that stopped. And out onto the curb he goes, and that is us back to P4. And a bit of a wheelie up to the line as we get our joint best result of the season. So 2 rounds in a row, 2 P4s. Unfortunately for me, we just are missing a small bit for the podium. Reese gets his first podium of the season, but unfortunately loses out to Dario Andrioni for P2. Savani comes home with the victory. Lukoid Rock finishes P5. Enjerk a lap down in P6. Ardlandry another lap down as well. Tavella and John Ondinger rounding out the top 9. So you can see, if you take out my mistake into turn 1, the 2 crashes, I probably would be 30 seconds up closer to Savani, so I'm still 20 seconds off, so I'm losing over a second a lap to the fast boys on the Gixxers. So the Italians at the moment are running away with this championship. So there is a bit of work to do going forward, and as of the time recorded now, we don't actually know what the next round is. It's supposed to be Road America, but apparently the track isn't in the best way. It's pretty big, apparently it's quite buggy as well. So right now we don't know what the next round is for us, but we have a quick look now at the championship standings. And unfortunately there actually is a small mistake in this, but we'll start with Azuler, who still leads, who's on joint points with Daniel Savani. They've both done 3 races, 2 wins and a second each. Dario Andrioni is missed round 1, then joined as a wild card and is permanent, has 2 third positions and a second. Luke Rock in 4th is on same points as myself and Reese. Now Reese should actually be ahead of me on comeback because of his podium. So the 3 of us joined together on 44 points. Really tight battle there at the halfway point. Manu, who unfortunately missed today's race, is in P7. He's dropped back now after a no score. Bunta also missing today's race with a no score. Tavella and Alex Nogueira finishing out the top 10. So that is it for round 4 of the Moto America League. Overall, not too shabby results. If you told me before the race I would have got a P4, I probably would have taken it. The pace wasn't amazing. I think we probably got the best out of what we could. A lot of the race I struggled for just outright pace throughout the weekend, so overall not too unhappy with that. We gained points. Unfortunately we did lose a few points to Reese, and now we're level with him, and he looks like he's gaining momentum as the season goes on, so it's going to be tough to keep him behind me for the rest of the season, but I'll enjoy the battle nonetheless. And goal for me still is just to maybe sneak a podium somewhere next out. If it is Road America, I'd be pretty confident there, as I really like the track, but then the fact of my top end disadvantage, that's a lot of straights there, so maybe that wouldn't be the best track for me. We have Laguna in a couple of rounds time, not a track I really like, but a track that would really suit my bike, in fact that it's not really a power track, it's not massive braking zone, so I might be able to get a result there if everything goes my way. But I'm going to leave it there for today's round. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, drop a like down below, subscribe to see more. I should catch y'all in a future video. Thanks for watching, bye bye.